Hello everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, I keep trying to upload a video explaining what the heck has happened to me these past few months, and then I either ramble and decide that I don't like it, or I miss something important. However, I've also recorded a lot of things for YouTube videos that never got posted. I've been recording content for you guys since before Vlogmas, like preparing for Vlogmas, and none of it has gotten posted. Now, let's start with Escape the Night, because that's the biggie. And when I was recording this video on my way to work yesterday, I did start to talk about the Escape the Night stuff, but then rabbit trailed and was like, this is pointless. So anyway, let's try this again. Let's try to be a lot more concise. Let's try to just break down everything with me. Alright guys, so I am going to just apologize for my appearance right now, as I probably look super tired, like I just crawled out of bed, and my hair is a mess. Both of those statements would be true. We are getting ready to fly out and see Chris and Rebecca. We leave on Wednesday. Another reason why I'm really rushing to get this video posted. Hopefully you guys are seeing this video before we leave. Because I do want to vlog my Seattle trip. But I have been working since last Monday. I didn't think I was gonna have to work this weekend, which I will explain the whole working situation, because a lot of you guys might say, but Dylan, last winter you weren't working because you were waiting for sorry, I just passed Lexi. Hadn't seen Lexi in a very hot second. Anyway, you weren't working last winter because you were waiting for the park to start back up again, and you would be right, but now I have another job, and I will explain that as well. We got scheduled to work this weekend. My schedule's typically Monday through Friday. If the weekend gets put on as overtime, then we just work the weekend, and we can work up to 12 days in a row without a break. Thankfully, that's not the case, because we leave Wednesday, and yeah, I'm just tired. I don't know what, I mean, I know what day of the week it is now because it was just the weekend, but during the week, I didn't know what day of the week it was. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm a little snotty. You can probably hear it. I don't know why. I've been snotty for a while, but anyhow, let's really get into the breakdown of this video. So, it's kind of funny that Escape the Night Season 5 ended up having a very similar fate to that of Escape the Night Season 4, despite the fact that I have constantly been putting precautions, you know, in place to try and, you know, fix the problems before they start, I guess. And it's kind of funny looking back on it, because I don't know if I really remember having any major difficulties with editing the first season. The first season seemed absolutely fine in my memory. I do feel like I remember struggling a little bit to edit season 2. That's not true. Season 1 we did have some issues because I was trying to use my camera, and my camera memory card kept running out of space, and I ended up actually losing that whole episode. I do remember I lost the footage to that entire episode, and what an iconic episode that was. I'm actually still really upset that we don't have footage from that outside of the death scene. And go figure, it was Hannah's death scene episode in season 1. And we were both just so bummed out about it. But anyway, season 2, we did struggle with a little bit. That's when, like, we started having issues with, like, the storage. Not necessarily because of iMovie. I was using iMovie at the time, but because of just how much footage I had. Because season 1, I didn't do any of, like, the backstory things. I didn't film all that extra junk. It was literally just, here's us doing escape rooms. No monsters, no backstories, no anything. And so there wasn't as much content as where season 2 was the first time I really, like, overloaded on content. And that was difficult only because I couldn't store all of the content on my computer. But iMovie didn't do the same thing that Final Cut Pro does, where it, like, super stocked all of your stuff. Season 3, I believe, was still iMovie. And I believe season 3's issues weren't that bad. I remember being frustrated because my Mac wouldn't have enough storage to, like, download the video off of iMovie. But my MacBook didn't really have a lot of storage to do anything, quite frankly, because I feel like you have to have so much storage on Apple products because they design everything in such a stupid way that makes it take up so much extra space. So if you are a smart internet person and know how to fix my problems where Apple decides that it needs to save everything like 500 times in 500 different locations and only tell me about one of them, that'd be great. I'm rabbit trailing so bad again, so I'm gonna try and rein it all in. Anyway, season 4, season 5 shared the same fate. I get 4 episodes in, and then I have to cut it because I just don't have the storage on Final Cut Pro to keep uploading and editing. I don't have the storage on my computer to keep downloading. So I fixed the problem last year for season 4 with going out, getting a flash drive, moving all of the things to the flash drive, saved up a bunch of room on my computer, and then I proceeded. This time I decided to start everything on the flash drive and hope that that would help, but it turns out that it really has not helped, and I'm having the same issues. This time I already have a flash drive and the flash drive's not helping. For those of you who were lucky enough to see episode 5, or at least the broken part of episode 5, when I posted it, you guys will know what I'm talking about. But the reason the video glitched out like that was because I had downloaded it to the flash drive instead of to my computer. And something about downloading the videos to the flash drives only downloads the first half of the video. So I'm not quite sure how to get myself around that, but until I can figure that out, obviously I'm not going to be uploading broken videos that you guys can't watch the whole thing on. So that's kind of what's going on with Escape the Night. And I do want to figure this out. I just feel like every year it's a new problem, which is partially why I didn't even want to do the season 5, but I'm kind of glad that I did, because season 5 became one of my favorite seasons very quickly. I just loved how it felt fresh, because over half the cast are friends of Trevor's, who he met when he transferred to Shamokin, and I had only just started to meet. So it was pretty cool. Like, I was nervous about having a whole fresh group of people who I barely know involved, but every time I invite somebody onto my show who I barely know, it turns out being great. Like Bella, for instance, in season 3, hands down one of my favorite competitors I've had amongst all 5 seasons, and I met her the day of. Anyway, so I will fix season 5 as soon as I possibly can and get that posted. That will be all on the Mac. And in the meantime, I'm going to keep making content for you guys that is non-Escape the Night related, because that's content that I want to be making and I miss making. And that will all have to get edited on the laptop. Both have Final Cut Pro now, so my editing shouldn't take a dip. I don't know what I'm gonna have to do on the laptop to even set up to edit this, because last it was being used, Hannah was using it for her film class. So I might have to delete a bunch of stuff already just from whatever she was using in that class. But I will find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. So anyway, now let's get on to the next biggest thing that I always do and didn't, which is Vlogmas. And I actually do have some clips of where I actively tried to vlog for Vlogmas and it did not work. I know that my community tab is not always seen, so there are some updates that you guys might have missed. But at the end of October, on Halloween actually, my grandmother had passed away. I don't think you guys have seen her too much in YouTube videos, but she was at Vegas with us. The one Vlogmas when I made the blanket for her, I talked about her in that video. So she's been mentioned on the channel a few times, and you've seen her in a few videos here and there. But my grandmother had passed away at the end of October, and that became kind of the end of YouTube of 2022 for me, because I knew I wanted to talk about it, didn't know how I wanted to talk about it, and just didn't feel like doing any of the Christmassy things, really. Didn't like, the holidays were a mess, the whole family's sad. We have a really big family, 5 kids, I think like 20 plus grandkids and great grandkids at this point. Like, she had a big family, was loved by a lot. It was a really hard time. So that's why that didn't end up, like, that's why Vlogmas didn't end up happening. So I do have some clips of Vlogmas, and I want to post a video where I kind of just go through all of like the extra footage that I have and share that with you guys. But I think that might happen after Seattle at this point, just because I just need something to get back on a regular upload. Anyway, so I do have clips from Vlogmas. There was a point in time where I thought maybe I will just do it as one big Christmas video, but then Christmas came around and I was still just not, what is this car doing? I'm sorry guys, but this car is swerving. They're not even on the road. What are you doing? Okay, they're turning, thank God. Now let's just go through some life updates outside of that I also feel like I just need to update you guys on. So, I am personally at a point where I miss YouTube so much, because, as I had explained, Escape the Night giving me issues. Vlogmas didn't happen. Nan passed away, and Knobles was closed for the season. So now I was in the situation where, you know, Nan passed, and she was helping me so much financially, with my student loans, with everything. I, like, still, even with her help, got very far behind on my student loans. And it just seemed like before she had passed, I knew I was in debt, but I wasn't pressed about it because, you know, she would always say, like, it's gonna be okay. We go one day at a time. We do what we can. And she was like, make sure your car is paid before everything else, because that's how you get to and from work. I was still at Knoebels at the time because it was October. We were doing our Halloween event. She was like, so just make sure that your car gets paid off first and foremost. And then when you have extra money, put that on your student loans. So I was never really paying full student loan payments because my payments were $800+ a month. I'm making at most $400 a week, and gas was over $4 a gallon. So I had like no money. I had enough money to put gas in my car and go to and from work. And sometimes I didn't even have money to put gas in my car to go to and from work after paying for my car. So the debt slowly starts racking up, and Nan passes. I don't want to say that I have some grand spiritual awakening or whatever. Especially when a lot of this was like Hannah or my mom or Aunt Jessie just kind of being like, hey, what are you going to do? And it's funny because at first you're really not pressed about what you're going to do. You're just like, it's gonna happen. It's always happened. Like everything has always just kind of worked in the way that it needed to work. And the more people start to ask you, so what are you gonna do next? The more and more you actually start to worry about what the heck you're gonna do next. And I knew kind of that I was at a point where I needed a job that was going to be more financially stable on a year-round situation. So Hannah convinced me to get a job with her at the Smucker's factory in Bloomsburg, making pet food. I have never worked in a factory before. I've had very little interest in working in a factory because my mom currently works in a factory. She works at a window factory. She comes home and I feel like she's complaining about her job all the time. So I'm just kind of like, you know, shit's really not for me. But Hannah convinced me to consider. So around the end of not the end of October, around the middle of November is when I decided maybe I should at least apply. I'll go try it. I've always wanted to work with Hannah. We've always said that we wanted to work together. But unfortunately, we just haven't had that opportunity yet. So I was like, honestly, this won't be that bad. Hannah's schedule, like 3 days on, 2 days off. It's kind of great. Like, she's not working all the time. She does have 12-hour days. But I was like, if at most you're only going to work 3 days in a row, then I'm fine with that. And the pay, $23 an hour, a little more. Kind of great. Benefits are great. I've never had, like, my own insurances. I just recently told my dad that I didn't need to be put back on his. And like on paper, this all sounds absolutely amazing, right? Well, I had originally wanted to start at the end of December. Because I said if I can start at the end of December, then hopefully I will have money for like my insurance, because I have been paying my insurance like 6 months at a time. Like I would pay in full for 6 months, and that payments were January and July. So I was like, if I can start at the end of December, get a few weeks in from December to the end of January, I'll have the money for my insurance. And I called my student loans, got my student loans back on track, or so I thought, but I had bigger payments starting in January, a bunch of things I had set up to start in January, because when I had gone at the beginning of December for my interview, and he told me that I was going to be hired, I was under the impression that I would be starting by the end of December, which did not happen. So then I thought, oh, well maybe, just maybe, I'll start like at the very beginning of January, which I kinda did, but I didn't really start until January 9th, so I had missed a whole week in January. So I ended up starting a lot later than I had thought, and although these paychecks have been more money than I've ever received on one weekly paycheck in my life, it still wasn't enough to get me completely caught up on everything. And like, my student loans are beyond easily catching up on at this point, which is a hot mess. And honestly, probably a video for another time once I've figured everything out. But still not caught up on my student loans. Still not entirely sure what the status of my student loans are. But we're trying to figure all of that junk out, because Nan was a co-signer. So that becomes legal issues, I guess. I don't know. We're trying to figure it out, and I'm just paying my payments. I called the lady in December, like I said, told her that I was getting a new job. She told me we were going to do this new payment plan. It'd get me caught up in about 4 months. I said, cool. So I'm just going to do that, ride this wave out for the next 4 months, and see what happens. I ended up not being able to pay my insurance in full for 6 months, so I had to switch to monthly payments on that. Not thrilled about, but it is fine. I can switch back in July when I'm more financially stable than I am now, and it'll be fine. But so now I am working at a pet food factory because I wanted to work with Hannah, and I'm not even working with Hannah. I had said in my interview, I had said on my application, I had said in my training, or our orientation, that my friend works the dry night shift, and I want to work with her so we can carpool. They stuck me in the wet department, second shift. So now, my days have gotten very boring because I wake up at noon, get ready and leave my house no later than 12:45, get to work at about 1:40, go on in, start my shift at 2, technically 1:50 because we have to do a morning meeting, and then I get off at 10. Takes me an hour to drive home, get home at 11, get a shower, go to the bathroom, do what I gotta do. Usually by the time I have time to sit and relax, it's already midnight, everyone's asleep, can't really do much, and everything's closed, so I can't really do anything. Try to take time for myself or to hang out with Hannah on days that she's not working and I get home at 10, or on the weekends that neither of us are working, because Hannah's schedule, she works every other weekend. My schedule is I only work the weekends when it's mandated overtime, which could be every weekend, every other weekend, one weekend a month. It just depends. But anyway, so typically I'll either watch TV with Hannah and we'll binge our shows until about 3, or I'll call Krista's Rebecca, hang out with them over the phone for a little bit, and then I usually just put on Bob's Burgers and try to be asleep before 4 o'clock so I can wake up and do the whole thing again the following day. And it's boring. I hate it. I feel like there's a lot of things at my job that I wouldn't hate as much. Like, first of all, when Hannah was telling me about it, I was like, well, what are the odds that I get into dry with you, because I really do not want to go to wet. Everything about wet, I hated. I hated the fact that it was called wet. Sounds gross. I'm like, I don't want to make wet food. I don't want to be gross. I don't want to be sticky. I don't want to be nasty. I don't want it to stink. Hannah is a dry pack operator, so Hannah's department doesn't even technically handle the making of the food. It's just the packaging of the food, which, I mean, the plant still stinks either way. But when Hannah comes home and hangs out with me after a shift, or like before I started there, when she would come over after she had gotten the job, you could tell that she was at the factory, but she didn't like stink. I go in, I get in this department that I absolutely did not want to be in, and then I get put on the mixers, which means I was being trained to be one of the people who actually took all of the ingredients and put them into the food and mixed it all together before sending it to get canned and cooked. So all day I am just standing over stinky mixers of sometimes frozen meat, sometimes fresh meat, depending on the day and whatever we're running. But I'm just standing over a giant, like 4,000 pound holding, like they can hold like over 4,000 pounds of product, gigantic mixers that starts with all the meat, then all the gravies, and then I get to put in all the fun stuff like the preservatives and the minerals and the vitamins and the flavors, and like, I don't know, some runs have like a cheese powder, some runs have like an egg powder. It's all dried powder because, I don't know, that's what they decided makes sense, and honestly it is probably easiest. But I get stinky and I get messy and I hate it. I currently have a blanket on my back seat because of the fact that, like, I will get some of this stuff all caked on my clothes, and the first few days I didn't even realize I was staining my leather seats with all of this dried powder. As I would drive home, heated seats would be on, all of this powder dust is heating up off of my pants onto the seat, making a mess of my seat, and I honestly hate it. And quite frankly, I do, like, the job is not that bad. I feel like I'm just complaining and being nitpicky about a lot of things, but, like, I do not feel the need to drastically be like, I quit, you know what I mean? Like, if there were ever an opportunity for me to get a job that was just as stable, if not better, or honestly even maybe a little less stable, like, I would take a little bit of a pay cut if I had to, not a drastic one, but a little bit. Like, I feel like I would jump on the opportunity to find a new job, which is another reason why I'm hoping I can get transferred into Hannah's department soon, because there is ways that you can department transfer, and I'm trying to do that as best as I can. Hopefully within the next few weeks, I will be able to fit into Hannah's department. I'm not entirely sure though, because I was just technically qualified, which means I no longer need a trainer present with me to work on my machine. And I'm pretty sure that means I have to wait even longer now before I can transfer departments. But I'm not sure what exactly is going on. But I just know that I either want to get out of this department and see if that's better, or literally find anything else. But now this comes into why I miss YouTube. Because I want so badly to just be able to devote my life to my YouTube channel in a way that a lot of your favorite content creators do. But I am stuck in like this mountain of debt that I can't ignore. So I'm like forced into jobs that I don't want to hold because they'll provide the money that I need to keep existing. I don't know. Now I'm just kind of stuck waiting for the day either another job is open to me and I can move on, or until, you know, the YouTube gets big enough that I can drop this place. But I feel like an ideal life for me would be doing something in the theater while also doing my YouTube, you know, kind of like vlogger by day, actor by night. And I miss the theater. I want to do things in the theater. Some of my mixer platforms remind me of stages almost, because they're elevated and about the same size as like stages that I've acted on. I get show tunes stuck in my head all day, but I'm just like, I miss the arts. I miss entertainment. I miss just being able to express myself through my YouTube and through music and through theater. And I am at a point where I'm like, I will do literally anything to be able to do the arts and love the arts and make a money on doing the things that I love to do again. So, I don't know. I am actually very impressed with myself that I covered all of these things in my commute to work. I did slightly exaggerate. My commute is not an hour. The timestamp on me recording this says 35 minutes. And I started recording right as I pulled out. So it took me 35 minutes to get from my house to the entrance to Bloom. And now I have about another 5-minute drive down the Bloom Strip. And then I'm there. But in this 35 minutes, I was able to cover everything I think I wanted to cover. And tell you guys a little bit of a story without horribly rabbit trailing, as you all know I'm capable of doing, which is amazing. So, fingers crossed, I can come home from work today, edit this video, post this video, and then start getting ready to record my Seattle vlog, because we have off on Wednesday, but we don't leave until early Thursday morning. But then we'll be there Thursday to Sunday, and we leave Sunday, and then we'll be home Sunday, and then we have off Monday. So 5-day break, paid break, might I add, which I've never had before in my life, which I'm excited about. And we're gonna go see Chris, Rebecca, and Des. I'm excited, and I hope you guys are excited. And I'm hoping that I can somehow find a way to squeeze YouTube back into the habit that is life. And I love you all. Thank you for listening. Let's have some conversations in the comments, just because I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a while or talked to anybody. So leave some comments down below. I will gladly go and respond to everything. And we can catch up some more. I have some ideas for some other things that I would love to try and do, just to help kind of feel like I'm active with YouTube again. We'll see what ends up happening. But until then, I'll see you all in the next video. I love you all. Give this video a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed, so that way you can see everything that comes after on this crazy, crazy, crazy journey. All right. Love you all.